The year is 2023, and we have consoles and handhelds like the Nintendo Switch, which can play console quality games on the go, and the PS5, which can produce realistic graphics and play high-end games like Elden Ring. So why in the year 2023 would you want to play the Nintendo DS? There are many reasons why to buy a Nintendo DS in 2023. One reason why to buy a Nintendo DS is because of its price. At the time of recording, you could buy a Nintendo DSi for only £40. And compare that to £220 for the Nintendo Switch, yeah, there's a big price difference. Now, one of the greatest things about the Nintendo DS is that these babies are pretty much indestructible. They are pretty much impossible to break on accident. I've had this baby for 13 years. This is the DSi XL, and it still works to this day. Now, there's many handhelds you can't say that with, but the Nintendo DS is pretty much indestructible. That means this is a great present for any younger relative, as they ain't gonna break this anytime soon. Now, the DS doesn't just have a great price. Why does this sound like an infomercial? Hey, Bradley Priest here, and today I'm selling you this Japanese handheld from the 2000s. This has so many rad features, like a bendy screen, and the best of all, you can shove this up your... Now, the Nintendo DS has a massive, and I mean massive, game catalogue. A game catalogue so big, you can get lost in it for hours. Some of the best games I could think of off the top of my head are Super Mario Bros. On the DS, which is one of the best modern Mario games, Animal Crossing, and Plants vs Zombies. From some of the best Mario games to Nintendogs, the DS has any type of gamer covered. Now, there's a reason why the DS is the best-selling handheld in history. It's because of its legendary games. There is some bad news though. Recently, Nintendo eShop has closed down, meaning buying games on the DS is no longer possible. Now, this is a really bad thing, as the DS had something called the Virtual Console. Now, the Virtual Console allowed you to play older games like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. Now, as you can tell, this is an older handheld, but there's one thing it doesn't suffer from: bad batteries. The battery life just never seems to die, and if it does die, it can recharge really quick. Now, why does this matter? But the amount of times I've sat down and played my Switch for a few hours and it's died, it took ages to recharge, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. But the DS, that's never really happened. Especially since it's almost like 15 years old. Now, you may have had a Nintendo DS when you was little, and you want to get one to recapture your youth. Old man. Now, I can see a lot of the prices for the DS and the games skyrocketing. This is partially due to the eShop closing down. So I would get your hands on a DS and the games fairly quickly before they shoot up. Now, you may be asking, what DS do I get? What games do I get, and where do I get it from? Especially for a cheap price. Well, I would recommend, if you live in the UK, Kex, as Kex sell a DSi for as little as £40. Now, some of the DS games at Kex are pretty expensive, like Pokemon Diamond, which is also £40, so pretty much the same price as the handheld itself. But many of the DS games are still very cheap at Kex. It's just Pokemon that seems to be very expensive. And this isn't just Kex. Now, if you live outside the UK, I can slightly recommend eBay. Now, eBay is the place to get retro consoles. But there's one big downside, and something I'll tell you to be very aware of. A lot of sellers are selling their older games for really expensive. That means you could buy Mario Bros for like 10 quid, and that's worth it. But you can also buy Mario Bros for like 1,000. Because some mum found it and said, oh, this is my son's old game, it must be worth thousands by now, and puts it for like 1,000. Especially the Pokemon games, they are overpriced on eBay. So just be very aware and make sure you know the prices before you buy. Now, what to buy? What to buy? I would recommend buying the DSi XL. Now, is this a very biased opinion? Yes, I've grew up with a DSi XL, but there's a reason for that. The DSi XL was the last DS that Nintendo released, and it is the best. It's the biggest, and it's just the best running DS. Now, unless you're really weird, you should have bigger hands than you did when you was a kid, meaning you need a bigger DS to fit your massive hands. Unless you've got little tiny hands, you need a bigger DS. So my first choice would be the DSi XL. Of course, any DS will do, but if you had to choose, I would definitely choose the DSi XL. Now, what games should you buy first? Well, I recommend getting the basics, like Mario Kart and Elf Bowling. What do you mean Elf Bowling isn't a classic DS game? It's the best game on the DS. Get a game like Zelda or something. Geez, some people have no class. So hopefully this video has convinced you to buy a Nintendo DS, especially before it's too late. These are great handhelds that you deserve to have. It has all the games you could ever want. and get it before it's too expensive. Now, if you're still leaning one way or the other, I recommend watching this video. Now, in this video, I share some of my nostalgia with the DS, which might convince you to buy one. So if you want to see some nostalgia, I recommend watching this video. And if you did enjoy, please consider subscribing and join the Insta Army today, and I'll see you next time. See ya!